So let's see who we have on this afternoon here. We got Joseph Trertola. We got Mike Wiesner from Clear, Southern Arizona. Christopher Hughes, Beatrice Hines out of Belgium, Richard Grace, Pekka Hautala from Stockholm, Sweden. And might have mentioned Harold Locke before, but if not, he's on with us as well. Jim Norwood, living on Tulsa time. What is Tulsa time anyways?
I think it's a chilling time.
Just kind of chill out. Sort of a chillaxing kind of deal.
Yep, I think. Don't know that.
We get these weird, these people that post these kind of strange looking, they almost look like links, And so I did a little investigating, it's like a series of letters and numbers and then a space and then a dot, whatever, and it looks like it's going to be a website or something. And apparently some people copy them, paste them into their browser. And these are sites you don't want to go to. They're apparently, what I researched on the internet, these sites are full of viruses. So be careful, you guys. I try to catch them all, but they
get through.
Well, sometimes they do. Yeah.
So Tulsa Time is a song about a guy who leaves Oklahoma for the bright lights of Hollywood. But discovers that he is much happier back home, where he can set his watch to Tulsa Time, where things happen at a much slower pace.
I see. I was just in Tulsa. It didn't seem very much slower.
Well, I think back in 1978 when the song was written.
It might have been.
And in 1978 when the song was written or released by Don Williams, he probably was harking back to the days of 1968 or 58.
58 maybe. That's right. Or 48. Had a good star party last night.
It looked like it.
Yeah.
Lots of popular.
Yeah.
Drew a crowd.
There's some talks I want to run back through and watch again, And he says, I thought Tulsa time was technically the same time we are currently in.
Yes, if you're literal, that is true.
That's right. I don't think they were talking about technically anything though with Tulsa time. It's kind of like Fayetteville,
Yeah, exactly. Fayetteville has its own vibe, but yeah.
Its own funky, weird kind of. Yeah, if you guys missed any of the parts of the last Global Star Party, you might watch them.
we have engine start. And liftoff.
Décollage.
Decollage, liftoff from a tropical rainforest to the edge of time itself. James Webb begins a voyage back to the birth of the universe. The James Webb Space Telescope amidst applause here in the Mission Control Center, now taking its first steps in pursuit of cosmological discovery.
Well, hello, everybody. It's Scott and Kent here, and this is our 66th FirstLight Chronicles program. And Kent and I have been talking about dark skies and the concept of dark sky communities, which is something that the International Dark Sky Association has started to anoint, like towns that protect their night skies. And so I think you were checking into a couple of those. And
Yeah,
I was surprised how many there actually are.
And we're going to look at that list. Yeah. So we're going to focus on that a little bit. So, you know, I'm tracking down people who organize their efforts in a couple of towns, and we'll have them on in future shows. So let me share my screen real quick. And I want to first focus on, we start talking about dark skies, and it starts with yourself. Every community starts a dark sky program with one person or two or three people. And I thought it might be interesting to look at some of the dark sky fixtures you can put on your house outside to take care of your lighting needs. So let's, here's a pole mounted lights, so I wish I have a light out in front of the house I live in that is one of these, except it's got a light bulb right here. And none of these pole mounted lights will fit that need. Darn it, I was looking for that. But a couple of porch lights, these wall mounted lights right here, you gotta find one that fits the house, but there are some really nice looking, look at that, good looking fixture here that's on the International Dark Sky Association's website, darksky.org, and work your way to this page. And there's page after page of these lights. I mean, these are just fantastic lights, and you clicks on it and you get a picture of it. It tells you where you can get them at. Many of these are at Home Depot. It turns out that Home Depot is one of the big box retailers that apparently prides itself in carrying dark sky.
They just have every different style,
fixtures,
don't they?
all different styles. I mean, wall mounted down lights. They have path lights.
Are they now? We have learned that the Kelvin of these lights need to be right.
Right.
They need
under 3,000 K or less. And these are all endorsed by the IDA. So I've not been able to find out what how many lumens come out of some of them, or the temperature of the lighting. But I don't think the IDA is going to give a seal of approval to a 6,000 or 7,000 K lighting fixture.
Probably not.
Yeah. So I think it's safe to say that, this would be something you could light along the pathway, going up to your house, the sidewalk, good looking, bollard types, so just some really good looking.
I like the idea that, so those things actually fit like on the walking path, I think,
Mhm.
right?
Yeah, right. Yeah, they're called low profile marker lights.
Mhm.
And it's an in-ground pathway light for high traffic and drive over applications. So if you want to, put it on the edge of your sidewalk or in your driveway or where you can have to drive over it, you can do that. Here's a LED single louver bollard. Looks really good. The light's going to be up here in the cap. And so all the light is going to come down on the ground and light the area. So I'm going to go by the local Home Depot and see what they have in stock and replace the two on the porch. I keep talking about it. Doing that. I did it in the house in Bentonville. I'm going to do it at the house I live now as well. So anyway, there are some really nice residential. You can back up a little bit. All sorts of fixtures. Dark Sky Retailers page shows Dark Sky Retailers. Let's click on that. Volt and Home Depot are the two they list. So you can go and find all sorts of lights that fit your lighting needs. So anyway, let's move along to dark sky communities. Now, when you say dark sky community, I think immediately of Arizona, New Mexico, up in the mountains of Colorado, places without light pollution. So I was looking down this list and I saw Beverly Shores, Indiana. And I went, Beverly Shores, Indiana, that in no way, shape, or form, in my mind, is a dark sky. So Beverly Shores, Indiana is right here. Okay. In no way, shape, or form can you call that a dark site. However, this is not about dark sites. It's about communities who are taking action through ordinances and enforcement and awareness to fight for night skies. That's what I realized, because I went into this thinking places like
places you want to retire to, right?
Yeah, exactly. So Sedona, Arizona. I saw West Cliff and Silver City, Colorado. So I looked them up and they're right here. So it's a Bortle. If you're in downtown West Cliff and Silver City, you're looking at Bortle 3 skies. Okay, they have great skies. Lots of people here that watching us would probably love to live in Bortle 3 skies because they're in Bortle way up their skies, right? And so this is not about being out here, in the Great Sand Dunes. Let's find a little town out here somewhere. Let's say Gardner. This is not about being out here in Gardner where you already have dark sites or malachite. This is not about that exactly. It's about taking efforts to control lighting in your community. That's what it's about through resources. And there is a guide on here that you can download the guidelines and begin the process in your community. So it does take effort. This is not something that just happens. It looks like it's going to be a couple of year process. You got to get some ordinances written and adopted. You got to get enforcement. There are some, serious requirements, because it shouldn't be easy. It should be, rewarding and cause impact. And so I was shocked. There are some dark sites on here, like, Sedona, Arizona. Let's just, everybody's heard of Sedona. Let's just see if we can find Sedona, Arizona. So there's Albuquerque, there's Gallup, there's Flagstaff. There's Sedona right there. Okay. Downtown Sedona, along the interstate. Let's see, probably right in there somewhere. Bortle Class 4. Bortle Class 4 skies, and they are a International Dark Sky Association dark sky community. Why? Because they value it and they promote it. So interesting that it's not just dark places that do it. It's light polluted places that are trying to attack this stuff. So interesting realization on my part, because I'd heard about it, but I hadn't done much research. but these places are just standard communities who just go out and push the value of dark skies. So they also have a dark sky place finder. So all these places have, right? Okay, here's one right here, Buffalo National River, which I had a very, very small fractional percent hand in helping. A guy named Bruce McMath, who we've had on the show, was the bulwark of it. It is an international dark sky park, and it's the both narrowest and longest dark sky park designated. It averages 1.5 miles wide, and it's 150 miles long. So it goes across, I think it's 4 counties in Arkansas. To put it in perspective, we're right here, and it's dark down there. We did a star party for the National Park Service a few years ago, and I felt like I could see some red in the teapot in the Milky Way. Could see in Sagittarius, could see a hint of red. So it's pretty dark there. And if you get south of the river, there's areas that are Bortle 1 to Bortle 2. So this map they have is a pretty good little resource if you want to find places that have been honored close to you. Copper Breaks State Park. I'm surprised that out here where Black Mesa is, where the Okie-Tex Star Party, that neck of the woods, doesn't have some designation because it's really dark out here. It's one of the darkest dark areas, in the country, and it's pretty good size too. Obviously, you can see where the effort has been made. It's a lot easier out here in the West, New Mexico, Colorado, Arizona, Utah, because they have so much federal land that's just already dark, right? So
That's awesome.
I'm talking to a couple of people about working on creating what's called, in addition to international dark sky communities, urban night sky places. So
Urban night sky places.
Yep.
This is also another IDA designation.
it's an IDA designation, and there's only 5 of them, excuse me, around the country. And I think that's the world, that's all of them. And there's 2 places that I've talked to Mike Wiesner about. Both of them are here close. One of them, Sugar Creek Astronomical Society, does a lot of outreach at Hobbs State Park, which the visitor center is right about there. And so that's going to be Bortle 4 skies. So decently dark.
I've been out there. It's reasonably dark,
Yeah. To the west is bad, to the southwest is bad, to the north is pretty good, to the east is real good for Bortle 4 skies. And the other place is Pea Ridge National Military Park out here, which is Bortle Class 4 as well. So we're talking about trying to coordinate that and get both those places. The Pea Ridge staff has approached me about it. In both instances, the park itself, in both cases, has very little lighting. And so it's not going to take much work, I don't think. A lot of documentation, a lot of paperwork, a lot of measuring. It's not going to happen in 6 weeks, but get one person who will take one park and another one who will take another, and work on that, trying to get both of those to raise awareness. Because the National Park Service has come to publicize the night, because, like they say, half the park isn't night.
That's right.
So
we have some interesting comments here from our viewers here. Let's see. Jeff Wise says he's going to replace all of his lighting now, which is cool.
Hey,
George,
Jeff, when you do that, take pictures before,
take pictures,
and take pictures after, and share them with us. Because
right.
that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to take pictures one night of the fixtures, and then I'm going to change them and take a picture the next night and show the difference in my specific instance. Think locally, globally, act locally. All right, go ahead. Sorry,
Jim
Scott.
Norwood says, I've camped several times a few miles outside of Westcliff, Colorado. Nice skies. Richard Gray says, we put a few of the barn lights that only shine down on the new place and floods, but never really turned any of them on. George Poston says, I'm a bit spoiled living here in Nevada, not Las Vegas. I've read that you can see the Milky Way from downtown Flagstaff, Arizona. If true, that is wonderful and the result of years of effort and of specific ordinances.
I think you can. I've not been there at night. I was there when it was cloudy.
I've been there like at Lowell Observatory, and it is I mean, it's reasonably dark.
Dark sky stuff is nothing new. I mean, Flagstaff values the impact of Lowell Observatory. The economic impact of Lowell Observatory is tens of millions of dollars to the economy every year from both science and educational and tourist resources. Tucson has had a lighting ordinance since 1972, right? So this is nothing new. Tucson does it because money, it's economic driven, because they understand the value of those research observatories that are nearby. And in fact, I think we did a show on Tucson where they have now created a smart grid on all the streetlights, and they can control each streetlight individually because it's part of the Internet of Things. They can turn up and turn down lights as they need. And typically after like 10 o'clock at night, the lights go to like 50% of their brightness. And at a certain point, every light turns off except for the ones at intersections that need light. And so, you know, and by doing that, they save lots and lots of money, because at the end of the day, you want a government to change, you save them money. You know, you get the taxpayers behind it to save money. That's where the impact comes. And for most people, it becomes an economic, not a save the night sky so my nut neighbor down the street can look at the stars when he wants to.
Right.
That's not it.
You pointed out also about Sedona, and you know, this is an area that protects its dark skies. It's also an area where housing, the cost of a house is about 100% more than the national average. Okay.
Wow.
So this is not, you know, this is not like, you know, people that want a nice neighborhood. They want to live in a nice place. They want their housing values to increase. You don't do that by flooding it with light. Okay. At night, you do that by making it a very, very nice place to live, and having dark skies goes a long ways towards that.
I know there's a couple of businesses that I've talked to in Sedona, that are specifically astronomy related tours at night. You know, like they take a Jeep tour at night with no lights down Jeep roads and get out in the away from town and do astronomy and have telescopes and use binoculars. And it's a tourist event. It's just like, you know, you can go to there during the day and take Jeep rides over the trails. They do it at night specifically because the dark sky is apparent. Scott, here's one. Borrego Springs, California. Is that you've done some star?
I've been there many times.
Yeah.
Yes.
So let's see how dark that is. It's over here. Right. So
now this is not Anza Borrego State Park.
Okay, there's Borrego Springs. That's what I was thinking.
Yeah.
But here's Borrego Springs. You know, downtown Borrego Springs. It looks like it's a Bortle Class 4. It's going to be a low Class 4, almost a Class 3, but pretty dark. Now you've got obviously the Springs, Palm Springs, and Coachella, Indio and Coachella up there. You've got Mexicali across the border, and you've got the blob of San Diego and Los Angeles. But even with that, Scott, is the sky still pretty good there? Because you're
Yeah,
looking
yeah,
at
absolutely.
50 to 100 kilometers away,
Yeah,
so still pretty good skies, even though you got those gigantic blobs, around you. Yeah.
right.
So here's Anza Borrego. Is that where you've done some star parties? We looked this up one time, I think.
Yeah, where I used to go and observe is a place called Little Blair Valley in Anza Borrego State Park. And it was a dry lake bed surrounded with a circle of mountains around it. And that the mountains blocked out the light. And the mountains also serve to block clouds. So, it could be cloudy in most areas in Southern California, and Anza Borrego would be clear, So
Yeah.
the Native Americans that inhabited that region a long time ago, I mean, they had like some sort of mythology, like it was the eye of God. I mean, you would enter into this place and it was clear when
Every
very
place else is
nearby
cloudy.
there's clouds. Yeah.
Huh. So anyway, that was the research when I started preparing for this. I looked at that list and I was like, huh? And so started looking, and these places aren't, out in the dark, dark, dark places. These are places that suffer from light pollution, and it's a small group of people, been able to achieve, big things in their communities just by trying. Right. So I think that's the inspiration. Go to the website, darksky.org. And it took me a little bit to find it. It was, you've got to get down to.
Once you share some of these pages with me, and I'll
Okay, let me
put these links in.
There's the chat.
These links you can click on.
Yeah, these are links you can click on. So to find out, if you got to go International Dark Sky homepage, you got to go all the way down to the bottom to find. There you go, Scott. There's the International Dark Sky places, right? And
how about that map?
It's on that page. The search for International Dark Sky places. It's on that page. It's over on the right. It says find a dark sky place. So it's on that page as well. If you go there and click on it, here, I'll send it to you. I'll send you the map. There's the map.
John Larson says, I had an opportunity to visit Dr. T.K. Lawless Dark Sky Park this summer when I was visiting Michigan, but the park closed at 9 p.m. and it was chained off.
Right.
Maybe that's how they keep it dark. I don't know. He said he was perplexed. I'm perplexed too.
Trying to find that link to lighting fixtures.
And George Poston says, my neighborhood, Homeowners Association in Mesquite, has virtually all the homes with automatic dusk to dawn sensors on the outside lights, not even a switch. I have to unscrew the bulbs or replace them with the coolest or lowest wattage I can find.
Right. So the attack for that is start talking to them. Right. It's you've just got to start saying, hey, there's a different way of doing light than requiring light pollution. I did this. I took strategically, was just happened at a school. I was doing a star party, and I had one of the teachers, I've told this story before, one of the teachers' husbands go over and stand directly under one of those bright wall packs. And he was wearing dark clothes and put his head down and arms behind his back. And they couldn't see him. They could not find him until I said, okay, he's not waving the arms. And he started waving his arms. And I said, okay, now stop. And he disappeared again. And even if you knew where he was, you could sort of maybe see him, but he was directly under one of those wall packs. The glare was so much that the security light gave criminals places to hide around the school, or people, I won't say criminals. So, it was an eye opener, and they ended up talking to the superintendent, and continues to have an impact on how the school district approaches lighting. I'm seeing a whole lot of Northwest Arkansas is booming population wise, and it's one of the fastest growing places in the country, percentage wise. And, people are moving here left and right. But I'm seeing more and more of the shopping complexes incorporating parking lot lighting and building lighting that is very effective and good downlight. And then you get one restaurant like a custard shop that lights itself up like a football field with 100,000 people watching it. So there's it all, and it ruins the effect for everybody. The one thing I discourages me is there's a number of builders who one of the people who works here lives in one of these subdivisions, and they have actually come to him and said, "Why don't you have your lights on?" And he says, "Because I don't want them." Well, you need the lights on to make the neighborhood safe. And he's like, no, that's not how it works. And he's trying to have conversations with the developers because one of their sales points is, we put all these bright lights all the way around your home so you can be safe. And he's like, dude, there's better ways. So
yeah, there is better ways.
yeah.
There's Samantha Nolan, who is a citywide neighborhood watch trainer for Washington, D.C.'s Metropolitan Police Department, says people who leave their lights on during the day and they're on 24 hours a day actually attract attention from burglars. Because if you're home, you're going to turn the lights off and it signals there's someone home. So, there is that.
Criminals may be dumb, but they're not stupid, and they're very ingenious. I in the newspaper business, I would see some of the devices that they engineered in jail, and it was like, if they would apply themselves that hard to a job, figure out a way to use string in a newspaper to be able to pass stuff 50 feet or 100 feet down the hallway to somebody else, and if they applied themselves that hard to a worthwhile thing, but they don't. They apply it to once they get in jail. So
the FBI says, according to FBI statistics, most residential crime actually occurs in daylight, but most people are not aware of this and turn off their burglar alarm systems during the day. This is when your neighbors come into play, particularly retired folks who stay at home. So their recommendation is that you get to know your neighbors, instead of just like throw light everywhere.
So and I don't know if Bruce McMath coined this or somebody else did. If light was an antiseptic for crime, in other words, antiseptic kills the you get a cut.
Kills crime dead.
Right. If light was antiseptic for crime, there would be no light in the daytime, because there's plenty of light in the daytime, but there's still more crime in the daytime than there is at night. Because why? Criminals need light. They need to see what's going on. Just like
not a lot of crime happens. Most crime happens.
Yeah, exactly. Scott, I shared you the link with the dark sky friendly lighting fixtures as well.
Okay.
So anyway,
there we go.
Yeah, I'd love to have a couple of people. I'm going to do it. Have a couple of people take before and afters to that we could publicize, to our viewers and on our websites. And dark sky for me is more than astronomy. My initial motivation is astronomy, but the more I research, the more impact. Sorry, the impact on birds. The impact on birds, impact on wildlife, circadian rhythms, driving at night. I'm getting older and I'm starting to see worse and worse how glare affects me. I have having a slight astigmatism in one eye. And so bright lights get these spikes coming off of them. That makes it even worse. And so it's becoming, more important. And I think last week when we were talking about it with Tariq in the UAE, it's not about me seeing success this month or this year or in the next decade. It's about building the foundation for 40 and 50 and 100 years from now. being a foundation stone that builds the momentum to, achieve something long after have no idea, unless I come back as a butterfly or something. So,
And you might.
and I might. Yeah.
Cool.
So
Well, it looks like Jeff Wise is on his way to fixing his local light problem. Probably if more people just did that, okay, just did their own homes, their own property, it would be much better.
the thing is, Scott, you can do your own front porch or, pole light out, yard light that has a light bulb. You can do that, but people don't notice it because they'll look at it and go, oh, gee, he's got a well-lit house and there's no glare, because it's a thing you do not notice. But you can do it on your house and let it go for a month or two and run into your neighbor and go, hey, have you noticed that, I did this on my porch and it's much better because I can see better because the light's all down on the ground, and you can see better because the light's not shining in your eyes. So it makes me safer. I'm willing to, if you'll pay for them, I'll put the fixtures up on your house, right? If you're good with wiring your own house, wire somebody else's house, and be a good neighbor. There's been times I've stopped and, there's be a car door wide open on somebody's house that, and I'll stop and I'll go, and I'll come back by and it's still open. So I'll go up, knock on the door. Do you know your door's open? No. Oh, I thought you might want to know. And they're just shocked that somebody would stop and do that. It's about taking care of people, and could I have ignored it? Yeah, I could have ignored it. Yeah, I didn't have to do it, but you know what? It's the right thing to do. So do it. What are you laughing at, Scott?
Annie, she's writing about her neighbor. She says they're so quiet, so very quiet. I can really not get to know them. And they always leave their lights on. Oh, yeah. Wait, that's the cemetery behind my house. They need lights on at the cemetery for?
Vandals, but
so now they can see which headstones to go vandalize, right?
But here's the deal. I guess they hope it's a deterrent, because if it's well lit, the vandals aren't going to go over, spray paint, or knock over the tombstones. But here's the deal. The light only matters if someone's watching. And if no one's watching, it doesn't, it's like, does a bear scratch his back in the woods? I'm changing the euphemism, but if a tree, no one's there watching, it doesn't matter, right? So it's well lit, but I guarantee you could knock over 5 tombstones and no one would see you do it, right? And if there's cameras on there that can see you do it, the quality is going to be so poor that they're not going to be able to say, hey, that was Kim March that did that. Now, if five tombstones get knocked over in that cemetery tonight, I did not do it. It wasn't me. I'm not going to go and do that. The way my leg goes, that would happen. So anyway, Scott, I gave you told you I got the lighting ordinance as well.
Yeah.
10-4. Right,
lighting products. Is that what you?
Yeah, lighting industry, FSA products. That's it. Right.
Yeah. And then there is something else here. Conservation. No, I already changed.
Yeah, you've already posted that one. So
who
all we have on now? Have we gained anybody else? You see?
Well, yeah, of course.
Look, if you're here and haven't
Josh
given
Kovac is on.
Give a shout out, everybody.
Yeah. And who else? Of course, Beatrice joined us. She was lamenting that she heard from people in her community in Belgium that in the 1950s that they could see the Milky Way. In the late 1950s, you could see the Milky Way from a lot of places.
Everywhere, even big cities, Scott, except for Las Vegas and New York and big cities in the 1950s. You could see. I need to go back and find that. It's hard because of everything's I've got boxed up.
Google did something, I think, didn't they? With light pollution. Didn't Google do something with light pollution or the size of cities and stuff? Overall, metropolitan growth type of time lapse stuff.
Yeah, I've seen used on Google Earth, I think, or somebody has done that, the growth of light pollution. But in the 1950s and 60s, you could see the Milky Way from a lot of places.
That's true.
And that has flipped on its head now. You know, I'm it's going to be sad when we finally get another great comet like Hakatake, or how you pronounce that, or Comet Bennett or Comet West. You know, I can remember my dad getting me up for comets Bennett and West, two different comets.
Yeah.
And they were huge. You know, it was like you know, a golf ball up in the sky with a tail that went halfway across the sky. You know, take these pictures that we're seeing of the current comet, and what is it? An inch and a half long in the sky, maybe, you know, not very big. And make that thing literally, you know, hold your arms at 90-degree angles, and that's how big it looks in the sky. Most people aren't going to see it because of light pollution.
Did look like that. I woke my girls up. I was living in Orange County, California at the time, and
1997 was that? 88?
Yeah, something like that. And I woke them up. It was really early in the morning, and Mount Laguna is where I took them to, because you could go up, and I think it's about 2,000, 2,500 feet, something like that. And you could start to make out the Milky Way pretty good out there. And yeah, they both remember seeing the comet stretching all the way across the sky.
Yeah. You know, it has an impact. It's one of those things. It's like you see an eclipse, you don't forget an eclipse. You see a great comet stretching halfway across the sky, looking like a golf ball or a tennis ball up there in the sky. You don't forget that. You know, the night Todd Longnecker and I and our boys were up at his place up in Missouri for a meteor shower. I think it was cold. It was really cold. Persons probably. And there was a meteor storm, and it was literally thousands. There's so many you could not count them. It was astounding. You never forget those things.
Yeah.
You know, it's just until, you know, you forget those things. But you know, it happens. But just mind blowing when you see thousands of meteors an hour for an hour and a half. It was just amazing to see. Yeah, those are, nobody's going to see that anymore, because you can't see that meteor storm from a light polluted place. We couldn't see that meteor storm. That was back probably in 1995, 4-ish neighborhood, something like that. Let's see. No, it'd been in the late 90s, but from Todd's house now, 20 years later, Jeff's 32. So yeah, 20 years later, 25 years later, we wouldn't see that meteor storm because the light pollution's so bad there. You know, we would only see the brightest ones. We wouldn't see those little faint ones that were astounding to see. So
very cool.
Yeah. Anyway,
in Mish watching on YouTube says, oh, I'm sorry. I'm reading the wrong thing here. In Mish says you could see the aurora borealis in northern Ohio in the 50s and 60s. John Larson says, when I visited Hilo, Hawaii in 2018 for work, the Walmart parking lot was all yellow lighting for the observatory. Now, Hawaii, the big island, is all about, you know, those observatories up on Mauna Kea, and they employ a lot of people. It is definitely an economic driver of that island. And Walmart has definitely risen to the occasion of doing smart lighting. You know, they listen to their communities because they want to put a Walmart in there, you know, and they need to have lighting so people can see to park and take their groceries out to their cars and that kind of thing. But in fact, the Walmart here in Springdale is a super center Walmart. And as I remember, it won an award from the IDA for its parking lot lighting. So,
Yeah, I mean, they've Walmart, all their new parking lot lights are well designed, full cutoff shields, not super bright white. I still think they're too white, but okay, little wins. And you take those things and go on down the road.
yeah,
You little wins and little success, and be happy with things that happen.
yeah,
So anyway,
very cool.
yeah.
All right. Well, we'll have more on how whole communities are changing to protect dark skies, and until next week, we'll see you. And Kent will be on tomorrow for On the Wing, and I guess you have viewer submissions.
That's
for tomorrow.
correct.
Is that right?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
And if any of y'all have bird pictures, if you've not been seeing On the Wing, come watch it. If you've got bird pictures, email them to me. They have to be your pictures, obviously. Send them to Explore Alliance at explorescientific.com. We would love to highlight your pictures and from your area of the world, so we can broaden our appreciation for the wonderful feathered wildlife around us.
You know who we need to reach out to is Adrian Bradley, who does all those nightscape photographs.
He also
has
does
fantastic birding.
Yeah. I'll shoot him an email. I've got his email. I'll shoot him an email. Yeah,
Yep.
I'll do that.
All right. And Richard Grace promises to work on some bird pics for us. So that'll be cool. And Beatrice says she'll be sending some more pictures too. So we got birders right here. So
yeah. And that's why,
cool.
I think birding and astronomy go hand in hand. I don't think that it's
absolutely.
They're you think about, things aren't exclusive of each other. It's pretty cool. So anyway,
Lubo wants to know, as his posts are hidden. I see them. Did we not answer a question for you, Lubo? Let's see. It was just a lot of comments here. We're simulcasting, so I see a bunch of posts from different social media sites. It does say people here remember Leonids at their big peak. They're going to miss the next big one.
It was the Leonids. It wasn't the persons. It was the Leonids. Yeah.
Mhm.
It was all of spectacular.
Right.
Yeah.
And Luba also says, in China, nobody dares to knock on tombstones. People here are too afraid of ghosts. I lived in Taiwan for a number of years, Lubo, and you're absolutely right about that. They have, of course, they have, ghost sweeping days where, they have the, religious guys going down there with drums and fireworks and all the rest of it to get rid of all the ghosts. And I think that using fireworks to so-called clean the ghosts out is quite common in China and Taiwan and maybe in other parts of Asia as well. So, but anyhow, anything else you'd like to add, Kent, before we go?
Nope. Don't be afraid to talk to people about light pollution. I guess I do. I said no and immediately started talking.
Yeah, that's right. But let me say this.
Yeah, I'm done now, but let me say this. So don't be afraid to talk to people about lighting. Fix your porch and then talk to your neighbors about their porches. I'm sure you're going to run into one person who decides to light up your backyard, but you can't fear if you go through life worrying about the negatives, you may never find a positive. Does that make sense?
Sure.
It's
right.
Vapor lock, lack of inaction, not making a choice. What is there? There's a Rush song, it says not making a choice is still making a choice.
That is choosing. That's true.
You choose not to make a choice, then you made a choice, so make a choice, make a difference.
Yep. All right, everyone. Thanks very much for watching and tuning in to FirstLight Chronicles, and we will see you tomorrow for On the Wing. Take care.
COVID-19 vaccines are safe and effective at protecting you from COVID-19, especially severe illness and death. Vaccinated people are far less likely to be hospitalized or die because of COVID-19, including the Delta variant. COVID-19 has a much harder time spreading in a vaccinated population. When more people are vaccinated, we are all better protected against COVID-19. Even if you're young and healthy, it's still important to get vaccinated. Vaccines can help end this pandemic. To get the most protection, make sure you get all recommended doses of a COVID-19 vaccine. Getting vaccinated helps protect you and others from COVID-19.